What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. I'm once again joined by Tyler. We are back for another video on our Death Stranding community series, a community series that airs every single Thursday on our channel, leading up to Death Stranding releasing exclusively on the PS4 on November 8th. We are almost there. We only have a few weeks left until this game is out, and we've talked, a lot, kind of like a little bit cautiously optimistic about this game. We've talked about some of the things that we're confused about in this game. We've talked about if it could possibly fail because of how different it is, and in this video, we want to talk about some of the horror aspects. Funny enough, this still being in October, I believe, when you guys are seeing this, or early November, this game has that kind of feel to it. And this game, and Tyler was telling me before we record this, I mean, there's people writing about this, that this game does, when you playing it, you are going to kind of feel that tension. You are going to feel scared. And it's definitely an interesting question, because I think when you think of this game, the first thing you think of is that you don't have a clue what's going on. You don't really grasp what's happening. And again, we've talked about that. That was what the first video was all about, is that there's a lot of this stuff that, and Tyler believes, and I do definitely echo that. Even I think it's going to stop some people from buying this game is just the fact that it's going to take a lot of time for people to get invested in it. It's maybe just not a game for everybody. I think that's definitely just something that we have all kind of come to accept. But then when we actually jump into the game, we had a discussion of what the game is actually going to feel like. What are we actually going to be doing in the game? And, I think from everything we've seen so far, firstly, it does feel and it does look and feel a lot like Metal Gear in a lot of ways. So I think you're going to get that general feel. But then, those kind of upside-down world creatures that are always kind of there. And remember, the main character has a connection with them where he can kind of sense them, or he knows that he knows they're around, but he can't see them. But the baby's connected, and the baby's kind of like his life source, and the baby protects people. Babies in general protect people from that. There's a lot with that. But those creatures in general, we've seen some snippets. I'll try and show you guys specific snippets in like the gameplays. We've seen in Kojima's long trailers, we've seen snippets of stealth scenes where you're just seeing them kind of just all be there, and you're trying to stealth your way around it. And again, like, we know they're kind of always there. They're just on like the other side. We know the terrorist organization and the leader, who I believe is Troy Baker's character, they kind of possess their thing, their MO is that they have a connection to them, and they use them as, that's like their weapon, right? So these guys can probably be pretty darn scary. Like and that's a good point that Tyler just brought up this topic, because I feel like that is going to be something that people are saying when we get into the game, is like, hey, I know a lot of people thought about this game in terms of how weird it is, and like what's going on with the baby, and what's going on with literally the messaging of the game, the whole bridging together civilizations and stuff. But when you play the game, like, it's actually kind of creepy, because you don't want to be spotted by these people. You can die, but then you'll just go to the other side and you can come back and stuff. So like, I think there's going to be aspects of that where this game can just downright be very, very creepy, very, very tense. And I think any game like that, with these kind of stealth aspects and trying to get around them, you don't really want to fight. We actually haven't seen almost anything of fighting. We've seen gunplay like one time in one trailer. So I don't think you're going to be able to fight these things. For the most part, it's going to it's not like the walking simulator like Amnesia is or something like that. But I think they're going to be able, and don't forget, this is a very important to note, and I didn't even think of this when Tyler said it. What was Kojima working on right before he started Death Stranding? And he was also working with Norman Reedus, the PT demo, and with Guillermo del Toro, and also they were going to do Silent Hill until the whole Konami thing broke down. So it's not like Kojima doesn't like horror. In fact, PT is one of the scariest games ever created, and it was like a 1-hour demo. So he knows how to do horror somehow. So he's really good at everything. He knows how to do horror, and I wouldn't put it past me that this game could have a lot of, it's not going to be PT the sequel, but I think you're going to be able to tell, like, hey, he knows how to capture horror. He knows how to capture tension. And I think this game could actually be more scary than people think. So, Tyler, what do you think about the horror aspects of this game?
Yeah, actually, Alex brought up a good point that I forgot, and about PT. And isn't there like PS4s still being sold for a couple hundred or thousands of dollars that have PT still on? That's hilarious. But yeah, that was kind of a scary. I remember that. That was pretty scary. And Alex just said to me that he's scared to even play Death Stranding now that he remembered PT. I would agree with that, because that was, I mean, in a way, yeah, in a way, no. Well, actually, no. I would be terrified if I was you and if I was a viewer, because if you think about it, so PT, obviously you're limited. You're in that little tiny home. It was even smaller than a home, really, which can make things scary because you feel trapped, right? But when you're in an open world, you feel like, well, at least I can run. Yeah, but that's the trick. Where are you gonna go? Because things can just pop out wherever. They can come from the sky. They can come from the ground. You don't know where they're gonna come from. So technically, you almost feel safer in a house because at least if you lock yourself in a bathroom or in a little closet or whatever, you're like, okay, I feel a little safe because it's out there. I can hear it outside. Where are you gonna go if you're outside already? You know what I mean? So I feel like, yeah, I feel like this game's gonna be a lot scarier than I was kind of thinking. Even though I should have been. I mean, there's like I'm just gonna call them like ghosts and stuff. Even though I think they do kind of call them that, but I do. It's already creepy, so I think it almost makes sense that it would be. And people who've played it were saying that it's terrifying because you don't know when something's either going to pop out, where anything is. The open world feels like it makes you feel like you're alone, but you're being constantly watched. That's cool, and it is kind of scary. But my question is, and I do think it will be creepier and scary, because even for me, but see, when I played Metal Gear Solid 4, I was younger, so I felt like there was elements of that game that were even kind of creepy as well. But again, I was younger, and I don't get scared really for stuff. I laugh at horror things now, but I feel like a game like Death Stranding, because it's so creepy, like it's so creepy with the baby and all that stuff, that I think I would actually get a little bit creeped out and kind of scared too, and I will admit that. But what I was going to say is I'm curious if that will hurt the game. And I'm wondering that because I feel like if it's too creepy and if it's too scary, because again, I already think it's not going to sell all that much, and you can watch that video as to why. But not a bad reason, actually a realistic reason. And I think it'll be a good game too, but I just think it won't sell that well. But I'm curious how many people, and in my brain right now, my brain just told me 12%, which is possible. How many will actually finish the game? And I think it's going to be a low number of the people that buy the game, because it might be too creepy for people to play. That's 100% a possibility. And because don't forget, I forgot the statistic, but I think it's only like 30% of people ever even finish a game. So that might not be the right number, but it is a low number ever finish a story game, story mode in a game. It's a very low number. So if an already low number doesn't finish a regular, not scary game, I can only imagine it's going to be very low if it's a creepy, scary game. Not that I don't think Death Stranding is going to be scary all the time, but I think it's going to be creepy 100% of the time. I think you're constantly going to feel creeped out and kind of anxious and kind of nervous. Some people can handle that, and some people can't. Alex is one of them, probably. But I'm just kidding. But yeah, I actually think, and honestly, you know what? That will hurt the game as well, because you're not going to have as many people able to talk about it in full. So you really won't be able to have as many, YouTubers talking about it, or articles out there, and not everyone's into horror or being scared in general. So this game it's special for sure. It's very special. And when you look at all the aspects, there's a ton of aspects that make it unique, and unique in multiple ways. Some aren't good. Unique in the way of, for what it is, when it comes out, it's going to hurt it. Being a very creepy, kind of horror-y type game is going to hurt it too, on top of when it comes out. So there's other elements to it as well as the gameplay. Maybe a lot of people, if you got to collect too many crates, maybe people aren't going to really want to do that after a while. Maybe people get burnt out. There's a lot of elements to it, but I think the people that really stick it out and really, and they complete it and they play it, but play it for like 40, 50 hours. I bet we're going to see people saying like it's one of the best games, if not the best game, to ever come out. And honestly, I would believe that. But I also believe that nobody has the patience, the time, or they're just not gonna, they're never gonna experience it. It's gonna be, I'm saying a handful. It's not a handful, but it would seem like a handful of people that will ever actually experience the true Death Stranding, which is kind of sad, but in a way that is what kind of makes it special. Unfortunately, it only makes it special to those people. But because I'm not going to be getting it, I volunteer Alex to be somebody who completes the game, plays it in full, and is able to have, that be part of that special, that, making Death Stranding special to him, and so that he can share it with us. That's what I think he should do. And it's already been decided. It's unanimous. It's 1 out of 0, or 1 out of 2, and so that's what's going to happen. But yeah, I really do. I think I think it's going to be creepy. I think it's going to be scary. I think that's going to hurt it. Not in the sense of sales. Well, it might, but that would be after the fact. But in the sense of how many people actually end up playing it for more than 2-3 days.
Great discussion. We always have different opinions on this game, which is why I love talking about this game with Tyler. And then I assume a lot of you guys, even just from the first couple videos, you guys definitely have varying opinions as well. So where do you stand on this? Firstly, do you think this game is going to be creepy, is going to be scary? And then what do you think that's going to do for the game? Do you think that'll hurt it? Do you think that'll help it? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Hit that bell icon. Again, these videos come up every single Thursday on our channel, leading to Death Stranding releasing. We only have a couple more videos before the game is actually out, and then we'll be doing giveaways. I'll be talking about the game once I actually get my hands on it. Very, very excited for this. Hopefully you guys are too, and we will see you guys on next week's video.